Buddha.
So how you doing, girl? As fine as you look.
Well, no one can do that.
Well, I never realized that toasting was such a responsibility.
No.
In her world, she's the one on stage, and even though she's maybe collaborating with another musician.
2 actresses, 2 development deals, equal footing. That's how Living Single started in 1993. Kim Coles brought television credibility from In Living Color. Queen Latifah carried hip-hop fame, but was unproven on screen. Fox bet on both to carry their groundbreaking black sitcom.
Dream house? Did I say dream house? My keyboard is broken. I can't type any words with it.
5 seasons later, one became Hollywood royalty, commanding 8-figure deals. The other just dropped a bombshell that exposed everything fans never knew about their former co-star.
So Queen Latifah was on Diddy's back.
No, Diddy was on Queen Latifah's back.
They was naked?
No, like horse playing through like the party, like you just horse playing, like having fun. That's when I remember.
So, how did equal partners become a queen and her former subject? How did sisterhood on screen mask a brutal power struggle behind the cameras? This is the bombshell Kim Coles just dropped about Queen Latifah and Living Single. When Living Single premiered on Fox in August 1993, it looked like the perfect picture of black female friendship. 6 young professionals navigating life, love, and careers in Brooklyn. It was representation television had never seen before. Queen Latifah played Khadijah James, the ambitious magazine publisher, while Kim Coles brought joy as her cousin Sinclair, the aspiring actress with an infectious spirit.
Eggplant.
But what fans didn't know was that the show's foundation was built on competing development deals and shifting power dynamics that would eventually tear it apart. The original concept was simple: 2 women, 2 deals, equal footing. Fox had bet on both actresses to carry their new sitcom, initially titled My Girls. Kim Coles was actually the bigger television name at the time, coming off her successful run on In Living Color, while Queen Latifah was primarily known as a rapper trying to transition into acting. The casting alone revealed the complex negotiations happening behind the scenes. The Sinclair role was originally intended for Queen Latifah's close friend, Moni Love. But when that fell through, Kim Coles stepped in. What seemed like perfect chemistry on screen was actually a carefully constructed arrangement between competing talents. From day one, there were signs that this wouldn't be a typical ensemble cast. The credits rotated between Kim Coles and Queen Latifah, getting top billing. An unusual arrangement that reflected the underlying tension about who was really the star of the show. While the public saw sisterhood, industry insiders witnessed 2 strong personalities vying for control of what everyone knew would be a groundbreaking series. The show broke new ground by presenting successful black professionals without relying on stereotypes or struggle narratives. Khadijah ran her own magazine. Max was a successful attorney, and even Sinclair had entrepreneurial dreams beyond her receptionist job. This positive representation was exactly what television needed, but it came with its own pressures. Both Queen Latifah and Kim Coles understood the weight of representation they carried. Every storyline, every character decision, every promotional interview was scrutinized, not just for entertainment value, but for how it reflected on black women in America. This additional pressure created an environment where control over the show's direction became even more important. The stage was set for a power struggle that would ultimately determine not just who got their name first in the credits, but who would control the narrative of black women on television for years to come. As Living Single gained momentum, something shifted. Queen Latifah wasn't just playing Khadijah James. She was becoming the undisputed queen of the set. Her dual role as star and behind-the-scenes power player began changing the entire dynamic of the show.
Then I hear you've started your own magazine.
Yeah, it's sort of an urban everything you need to know from...
Kim Coles would later reflect on Queen Latifah's transformation during those early seasons. What started as a collaborative project between two equal co-stars gradually became the Queen Latifah show, with everyone else serving as supporting players in her rising empire. The evidence was everywhere for those paying attention. Queen Latifah's character Khadijah got the best storylines. She was the boss, the entrepreneur, the one making decisions. Meanwhile, Kim Coles' Sinclair remained the comic relief, the naive cousin whose main function was to make Khadijah look smarter and more sophisticated by comparison. Coles later admitted she felt it was her responsibility to be the entertainer keeping the real star happy. While this came from a place of genuine care, Queen Latifah was grieving her brother's death in a motorcycle accident. It also established a clear hierarchy. Coles wasn't an equal. She was the support system for the show's true center. The shared dressing room became a microcosm of their relationship. Coles described decorating the space, providing entertainment, even giving facials to Queen Latifah between takes. What she framed as sisterly bonding was actually the positioning of herself as a service provider to the real star. Meanwhile, Queen Latifah was making strategic moves that extended beyond the soundstage. She was building relationships with network executives, developing her music career, and positioning herself for film opportunities. While Kim Coles focused on perfecting Sinclair's comedic timing, Queen Latifah was building a multimedia empire. The power shift wasn't just about screen time or storylines. It was about who got to shape the show's direction, who controlled the narrative, and who would benefit most from Living Single's success. Queen Latifah was positioning herself not just as the star, but as the undisputed leader of what was becoming her television empire. By the second season, the transformation was complete. Queen Latifah had evolved from co-star to the show's gravitational center, with everyone else orbiting around her rising star power. The most visible sign of tension wasn't in any dramatic confrontation. It was in the opening credits. Episode after episode, viewers witnessed something unusual. The starring credit alternated between Queen Latifah and Kim Coles. One week it would read, "Starring Queen Latifah," the next, "Starring Kim Coles." This wasn't standard television practice. It was the result of careful contract negotiations where both actresses' representatives insisted their client be recognized as the show's lead. What looked like fair compromise to viewers was actually evidence of an ongoing power struggle that never got resolved. The alternating credits reflected the industry reality of 1993. Kim Coles had television credibility from In Living Color and was considered the safer bet for carrying a sitcom.
Well, him name is Danny. Him American, him very funny, and I think I love he.
Queen Latifah had hip-hop fame, but was largely unproven as an actress. Both camps wanted first position. Neither was willing to budge. But as the show progressed, something changed. Fans began noticing that Queen Latifah seemed to be getting first billing more often. The carefully negotiated balance was shifting, and Kim Coles was gradually being repositioned as the supporting player rather than co-lead. Behind the scenes, this translated into real career consequences. Queen Latifah's character got the romance storylines, the dramatic moments, the scenes that showcased her range as an actress. Kim Coles' Sinclair remained locked into the comic relief role, rarely getting storylines that allowed her to demonstrate serious acting chops. Industry insiders later revealed that both actresses had been promised star treatment when they signed on. But television is a business, and as Queen Latifah's profile rose, her music career, her film opportunities, her overall star power, the network began viewing her as the more valuable commodity. The credit wars extended beyond mere ego. In Hollywood, billing order directly impacts future opportunities. Agents use starring credits to negotiate higher salaries for subsequent projects. Producers look at billing to determine who's considered the real star of a successful show. These credits became Kim Coles' career ceiling and Queen Latifah's launching pad. What made the situation particularly frustrating for Kim Coles was that both actresses had comparable screen time in early seasons. Sinclair appeared in virtually every scene, had her own romantic subplot with Overton, and provided some of the show's most memorable moments. Yet she was increasingly treated as supporting talent. The credit wars weren't just about recognition. They were about power, money, and who would get to control the legacy of one of television's most important black sitcoms. While the public never got the full details, industry insiders whisper about tensions that emerged during the show's later seasons, particularly around Kim Coles' growing frustration with her character's limitations. The issue wasn't about one specific scene, but about a pattern that had been building for years. According to sources close to the production, Kim Coles had begun pushing back against being typecast as just comic relief. She wanted storylines that showed Sinclair's growth, her intelligence, her depth as a character. But these requests were repeatedly shot down, with the explanation that audiences loved her as the ditzy, naive cousin. The breaking point came when Kim Coles reportedly questioned the direction of her character development. After 4 seasons, she felt Sinclair should have evolved beyond the airhead moments. But the writers and producers wanted to maintain the established dynamic where Sinclair provided laughs while Khadijah provided wisdom. The pushback didn't go over well. While Queen Latifah had creative input as both star and emerging producer, Kim Coles was expected to simply perform what was written. The power dynamic that had been building for years finally came to a head during these creative discussions. The incident wasn't just about character development. It represented years of accumulated frustration. Kim Coles was watching her co-star get movie roles, endorsement deals, and industry respect while she remained trapped in the Sinclair box. The pay disparities were real, the promotional opportunities were uneven, and the career trajectories were clearly diverging. By the 5th season, viewers could sense something had changed. The chemistry felt forced, the humor less natural. What they were witnessing was the breakdown of what had once been genuine friendship, replaced by professional obligation and unresolved resentment. The show's decline wasn't just about network politics or changing viewer preferences. It was about what happens when creative partnerships become power struggles. When Kim Coles looked around the set, she saw her co-stars getting opportunities while she remained locked in the same character box that had defined her for 5 years. Fox's decision to abruptly cancel the show after the 5th season felt like confirmation of what Kim Coles had been experiencing. That living single had become Queen Latifah's vehicle, and when it was no longer serving her career trajectory, there was little motivation to fight for its continuation. The scene that changed everything wasn't captured on camera. It was the moment Kim Coles realized she wasn't an equal partner in the show's success. Queen Latifah's rise to complete control of Living Single wasn't accidental, it was strategic. While Kim Coles focused on being the best Sinclair she could be, Queen Latifah was building an empire that extended far beyond the Fox soundstage. By the show's final seasons, Queen Latifah was no longer just an actress playing Khadijah. She was a multimedia mogul in the making. Her film career was taking off with roles in Set It Off and other projects. Her music remained relevant, and she was positioning herself as the face of successful black women in entertainment. The power imbalance became most visible in what didn't happen. When TV1 created reunion specials for Living Single, Queen Latifah was consistently unavailable, while Kim Coles, Erica Alexander, T.C. Carson, and John Henton showed up to celebrate their shared legacy. The show's supposed star was notably absent. This wasn't coincidence, it was calculation. Queen Latifah had moved beyond Living Single and didn't need to revisit that chapter of her career. She had Chicago, Hairspray, The Wiz Live, and eventually The Equalizer. Why look backward when you're building a Hollywood dynasty? Meanwhile, Kim Coles found herself in the position many television actors face, forever associated with one character, struggling to break free from the Sinclair persona. While Queen Latifah was being offered serious dramatic roles that led to an Oscar nomination, Kim Coles was getting offered variations of the same bubbly, naive character. Even when Queen Latifah occasionally mentioned potential living single reunions or reboots in interviews, they never materialized. The truth was, she didn't need living single anymore. The show had served its purpose, launching her into mainstream stardom, and now it was just a stepping stone in her larger career narrative. The contrast became stark when Kim Coles launched her rewatch podcast, Reliving Single, with Erica Alexander in 2024. While Coles was revisiting old episodes and sharing behind-the-scenes stories, Queen Latifah was starring in CBS's The Equalizer and producing new content. One was looking backward, the other had moved on entirely. For Kim Coles, Living Single remained the peak of her television success. For Queen Latifah, it was just the beginning. This wasn't necessarily cruel, it was business. Queen Latifah understood that Hollywood success requires constantly evolving and never letting yourself be defined by past achievements. The Queen had protected her throne by building a new castle entirely. Anyway, Kim Coles' recent revelations about the production disparities between Living Single and Friends exposed something deeper than just racial inequality in Hollywood. They revealed how power players position themselves to benefit from those inequalities.
So the similarities are that we were 20-somethings living in New York trying to make it. The big difference is the melanin. The other big difference is the all the amenities and all the checks. And that was tough, but we understood it.
The comparison between the two shows wasn't just about one copying the other. It was about how the industry rewards those who know how to play the game. And that was the same difference between Latifah and Kim. While Kim Coles and the rest of the cast focused on making great television, Queen Latifah was learning the business side of entertainment. Kim Coles revealed the stark differences in treatment between the two Warner Brothers productions. Living Single was relegated to a smaller lot with fewer resources, while Friends got the full studio treatment with bicycles to travel between sets, better catering, and significantly higher budgets. The salary disparities were enormous, despite Living Single having similar ratings in its early seasons. Meanwhile, Queen Latifah's connections went beyond the Fox lot. Her relationships with industry powerhouses revealed a network of alliances that Kim Coles simply didn't have access to. While Coles was perfecting her craft, Latifah was building relationships with people who could influence her career trajectory. This wasn't necessarily malicious. It was smart business. Queen Latifah understood that talent alone wasn't enough in Hollywood. You needed relationships, leverage, and the ability to make yourself indispensable to powerful people. The uncomfortable truth is that Queen Latifah's success came partly from her willingness to work within a system that consistently undervalued shows like Living Single, while overvaluing shows like Friends. Rather than fighting the machine, she became part of it. While Kim Coles spoke out about inequities in recent interviews, Queen Latifah remained diplomatically silent about the industry politics that had benefited her career. This silence wasn't accidental. It was protection of the relationships that had elevated her beyond her Living Single origins. Kim Coles represented the old model of success: work hard, be talented, hope for the best. Queen Latifah represented the new model: be talented, but also be strategic, connected, and willing to protect the relationships that protect you. The difference in their post-Living Single careers tells the story of two approaches to Hollywood success. One prioritized artistic integrity and speaking truth. The other prioritized industry positioning and strategic alliances. Only one approach led to lasting power and influence in an industry that rewards silence over honesty. Queen Latifah's way of handling Hollywood relationships gets even more interesting when you look at how she deals with people like Sean Diddy Combs. While Kim Coles made a name for herself by keeping it real and speaking out, Queen Latifah took a different route. She learned how to stay quiet when it counted. At the height of Diddy's reign in the 1990s and early 2000s, when Bad Boy Records dominated the charts and his parties drew A-listers, Queen Latifah wasn't on the outside looking in. She was present, respected, and invited into circles that represented real power in the entertainment industry.
Jack in the
Queen
Popper
Latifah
Sickle.
was on Diddy's back.
No, Diddy was on Queen Latifah's back.
They was naked?
No, like horse playing through like the party, like you just horse playing, like having fun. That's when I remember.
The relationship between Queen Latifah and Diddy wasn't publicly romantic or professional, but it was part of a larger network of hip-hop royalty that included mutual respect and strategic alliances. Both had successfully transitioned from music to multimedia empires, and both understood the value of maintaining relationships within the industry's power structure. When controversies began swirling around Diddy in recent years, particularly regarding his treatment of women and alleged abuse of power, Queen Latifah's response was telling: complete silence. While other celebrities were forced to distance themselves or make statements, Queen Latifah simply didn't engage with the topic at all. This silence wasn't accidental. Queen Latifah had built her post-living single career on being above controversy, maintaining relationships with all sides, and never positioning herself as someone who calls out industry problems. This approach had served her well, leading to endorsement deals, mainstream film roles, and eventually her own talk show and current starring role in The Equalizer.
Who the hell are you?
Neighborhood watch.
Maybe you should mind your own business.
I try.
While Coles speaks openly about industry inequities, pay disparities, and the challenges of being a black actress in Hollywood, Queen Latifah maintains the diplomatic silence that protects her position within the power structure. Some might argue this silence represents complicity, knowing about problems but choosing not to speak out to protect one's own interests. Others might see it as strategic career management in an industry that punishes those who speak too loudly about uncomfortable truths. What's undeniable is that Queen Latifah's approach has been more financially and professionally successful. While Kim Coles struggles to get roles beyond variations of Sinclair, Queen Latifah commands 8-figure deals and maintains relationships with industry power brokers. The cost of that success, however, might be measured in the voices that go unheard and the stories that remain untold, because speaking truth could threaten carefully cultivated relationships. Long before Queen Latifah became America's favorite talk show host and red carpet darling, she was Dana Owens, the streetwise girl from Newark, New Jersey, who commanded respect in a male-dominated rap game. She wasn't just part of hip-hop culture in the 90s. She helped define it with her debut album, All Hail the Queen, and her anthem, UNITY.
Instinct leads me to another flow. Every time I hear a brother.
She was powerful, different, untouchable. But as the years went on, her journey through Hollywood told a very different story. She was offered roles that softened her edge, cast in projects that sanitized her message, and gradually transformed from revolutionary rapper to mainstream entertainment royalty. The transformation required strategic choices about when to speak and when to stay silent. While Kim Coles maintained her authentic voice throughout her career, sometimes to her professional detriment, Queen Latifah learned to navigate Hollywood's unspoken rules about acceptable black female voices. Today, Queen Latifah sits atop an entertainment empire worth millions. She has an Oscar nomination, multiple Grammy Awards, and the respect of industry power brokers across music, film, and television. Her success story is inspiring and undeniable. But that success came with trade-offs that become clearer when compared to Kim Coles' trajectory. While Coles speaks honestly about industry inequities and maintains relationships with her living single castmates, Queen Latifah has distanced herself from that chapter of her career and the people who shared it with her. The question isn't whether Queen Latifah deserves her success. Her talent and work ethic are unquestionable. The question is, what gets lost when navigating to the top requires leaving others behind and staying silent about systemic problems you have the power to address. Kim Coles's recent podcast and interviews reveal someone who genuinely loved her living single experience and maintains warm relationships with most of her former castmates. She speaks with fondness about shared dressing rooms, synchronized menstrual cycles, and the genuine sisterhood they built during those 5 seasons. Queen Latifah, meanwhile, has moved on completely. She's unavailable for reunions, doesn't engage with living single nostalgia, and has constructed a career that looks forward rather than backward. Both approaches are valid, but they represent different philosophies about success, loyalty, and the price of power in Hollywood. One prioritizes authentic relationships and speaking truth. The other prioritizes strategic positioning and protecting valuable alliances. The real tragedy isn't that Queen Latifah succeeded. It's that the industry was structured in a way that made these trade-offs necessary in the first place. Anyway, that's it for this video, folks. Bye.